Hi, love. It's Kathleen, your conscious mama friend. And let's talk about something radical today: why we don't have a TV, and what it taught us actually about parenting, connection, and presence. It's not that we're anti tech. Actually, my husband works in IT. I'm filming this on a screen, but it's about bringing awareness in and choosing consciously where and how we want to use technology. And that changes everything. And I want to start off with a little story that back in university, I remember that I had a shared flat. And when I moved in, I did not have a TV there. On a side note, I'm scrolling here on the side a wagon or a pram with sleeping kids. So my room there was full of books. I listened a lot to music. I connected with my roommates or with my flatmates. And then someone gifted me a TV. And suddenly, kind of my quiet, fulfilling evenings turned into kind of background noise and distraction. And I didn't notice it at first, but after a while, I just noticed how things shifted. I wasn't reading anymore as many books as before. And I was like, what happened? And I noticed, yes, I had a TV, and it was just so easy to turn the TV on. It was so easy to, I was supposed to learn. Oh, but there is a TV. It was the perfect distraction. And particularly looking back, but I even felt it back then, that TV became an escape and distraction, and it was so easy to just switch it on and switch off emotionally and mentally. And later on, I had for many years no TV again. And then I was moving in with my now husband, my boyfriend at the time, and we experienced pretty much the same again. We did not have a TV when we moved in together, and we filled our evenings with, talking, laughing, listening, sharing music, sharing stories. And then for one or the other reason, we got a TV. And then our evenings actually started looking quite a lot different. So we had, in many ways, less eye contact. We were less present with each other, and we weren't talking and communicating as much anymore. So when we were moving to Norway, we said straight away, we don't want a TV in our home anymore. We actually want to get back to the old ways how we were before we got the TV. And like I said, we weren't giving up on technology. There are many areas of ways we're embracing technology, but we choose intentional living. We wanted to choose when and how we want that screen to come in, and not just be there and it was just too easy to just click on. And now that we have kids, that choice feels even more important. And just to make it really easy, we're not going to return to a TV anytime soon. And screens are not the enemy, and they're not the issue. It's more often the mindless consumption of it. This kind of, like I said, switching on the TV and switching off, being present as like mentally and energetically. So what do? We do, for example, movie nights with our kids. We actually have printed little cute cinematic tickets. We scroll down the big screen. We choose a video together. We make it actually feel really special and fun, often preparing a big bowl of popcorn. So it really feels, and then the whole family gathers together so that it feels like something special, and then something, we talk about. But we don't have passive screen running all the time as a daily background. I was talking to a family just recently who also choose to get rid of the TV because, as the mother said, the TV was always on. Even when we had dinner, you had the background noise of the TV, and it was so hard setting actually rules and boundaries with the kids. It's so much easier to getting rid of it, and I rather choosing when to choose it in rather than you needing to be the hard one and choosing it out. Because let's be real, the mindless entertainment, it steals our creativity, it steals our connection, it steals us being calm and present. It just, makes us feel even more stressed and itchy. And and in particular when we talk about kids, this is also how the screen affects our kids. Yeah, from my own observation, and somehow this is backed up by science when I start reading and looking about it. When are my kids asking if they actually are allowed to use their screen for either watching or playing? Most of the time it's when they're tired, they're overwhelmed, or they're bored. Like it might be we had my oldest child coming home from school, and then he's exhausted. Fair enough. Yeah, mama, can you use screen? No, that's the worst time for you to use the screen, to just again switch off mentally. I don't want you to do that. Sit there, feel it, and then move out of that state. So because for me, this is the moments where growth happens and where they need to learn to also feel this uncomfortable. I don't know what is our problem in our society, that we're avoiding under any cost to actually feel uncomfortable, which often has as a result that we feel even more uncomfortable when we get sick or stuff. And we all know, how many studies have we read? Now I'm trying to remember this super famous TEDx talker. I can look it up, but right now I don't remember. But who says pretty much that boredom is the birthplace of creativity. And when there is no screen to distract, then magic happens. Play, imagination, and conversation. And I see this with my kids. They might be bored and it might feel uncomfortable. They want screen. I say no. And it takes them about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, and then they're off into a different world. And it's beautiful. But with the screen, that wouldn't have happened. So, and like I said, we're not anti-tech, we're choosing consciously in. So we're having some really strict rules. Like for us, it's no devices in the bedroom at sleep time. We have kind of a loading station where we charge everything, but also where we keep all our devices. And everyone knows that's where they need to go. For me personally, one thing is the screen of itself, but there's also the energy and radiation coming from many of these devices, like especially when you're talking about smartphone, even like 5G, but also just Wi-Fi. Kids' brains are still developing. It's not fully grown. And in my opinion, electromagnetic fields don't belong in their sleeping space. The more natural, the better quality their sleeping space is, the better. And I'm not saying we're perfect. In general, no smartphones for kids. We're absolutely, and I have to say, my kids are still fairly young. My oldest is now 9 years old. So this one is so far very easy. There are plenty of friends around my 9-year-old ones who have phones. But we have very clear stated no phones, and we want to keep at least a smartphone as long as it's possible. If we're going back what I call a dummy phone at some stage, we'll see. And yes, keeping social media away. I think there is a reason why this is not supposed to be. I don't remember it. What is like Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I think it says 14 or 15. I think we should stick to that, or even later. I don't think there's anything good for our younger kids to be on social media. And again, at the end of the day, it's not that we're anti-tech, and it's not about being perfect. We're not perfect. I'm not even aware about everything that's going on and we control or don't control. But I'll try to bring in as much as possible presence. And I think everyone needs to decide what tech looks like in their family, and looks what nourishing their family and what numbs them out. Like I said, I was just coaching a family, and they choose to, for test period first, to give up the TV for a while. And I noticed that many things got so much better, from the kids being actually more calmer, much better responding to when the parents were saying something, but also just getting rid of the background noise. And like I said, it doesn't mean to get rid of everything. They still had a PlayStation and they were still having other video games. So it's not that you need to go black or white. There is a big spectrum of gray, and you need to find out what is the right thing for your family. And important is to bring in awareness and to bring in this intentional living part of making the choice that fits you and your family. And then also looking, and someone recently said that, like, the road to heaven sometimes feels like hell when it comes to screens. That's how I feel. It's so easy to put the kids just in front of the screen. You need a break? There is a screen. It's so perfect. But actually choosing a different option, I think it will be better for the long term. And then this also means, as a parent, to think about and imagine how to replace this background noise, how to actually invite, for example, more music. Like, we decided to put at some stage a CD player that is a really simple children's CD player into the space, so the kids can easily put their own music on and off. How do we foster that kids go outside and explore nature and explore being doing nothing or looking at a book? So how can we create and invite into the space? If your child is already struggling to play without screens, most often they don't need more apps. They actually need more freedom, more boredom, and more space to grow. And this isn't about shame, and this isn't about this is right or wrong. At the end of the day, we're all trying and seeing what is best for us. But it's exactly about that. It's about everyone taking the choice that fits for them and their family, making that consciously choice. So really choosing intentionally what you bring into your life. And also to know, wherever you are, you can rewrite how you live. You can make small shifts, and you can start checking in what feels right, so that you kind of feel like you're starting to take control again. And if this message steers something in you, I'd love for you to stick around. This space here, I'm creating this for mamas like you and me, where we have intentional living and intentional motherhood. So as always, from one widely rooted mama to another, let's keep growing and glowing together.